Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and in this project, this is going to be our final project for the term actually. We are going to make the most fun, yet most complicated project that we've worked on so far. We're going to make a rock, paper, scissors game. Now, hopefully we all understand the logic behind rock, paper, scissors, and hopefully you planned out your game a little bit so you have an idea of what's going to go in there. But I'll kind of explain what I'm doing as we go along. Let's go ahead and create this project. Now, as with everything that we've done so far, this video will show you how to do everything you need in order to get a perfect score on this assignment. But it may be more fun if you kind of only watch this video if you're stuck in a certain place. So before I even start programming, I'm going to just, request that maybe you give this a shot on your own. By all means, this video is here for you if you need help, but I have a feeling that you might actually know more than you think you do about Python programming. Maybe go give it the old college try and then come back if you really get stuck or really can't figure out how to move forward. All right, okay. So do that if you want, or stick around and watch how to build this program. I'm going to do a very basic version. You can advance or you can add on to this as much as you want. You can add in, I know a lot of people like to do rock, paper, scissors, and then add some other stuff like, dynamite or whatever. Just remember every one thing you add, you're going to have a more complicated, this beats this kind of rule set. So I don't know, play around with it. Just understand that some of these fun things may be a little bit difficult to implement. But we're going to stick with basic paper, rock, paper, scissors in this project here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put in my comments. Mr. Storm. Oh, wrong one. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay. Now, I'm going to use notes to kind of organize my program here because this is going to be a bit bigger than what we've built so far. So I know I'm going to want a variables section. I know I'm going to have an intro section. I will have a section where we have the actual game. And then I will have like an end section. Okay. So those are the sections that I want. Now the variables in here, we're going to do things like we're going to create the random. We'll build a list full of options. We'll build the user variable. We'll build the variables to handle how many times they've won, that kind of stuff. In the intro, we'll tell them, hey, you're playing a rock, paper, scissors game. We'll have them enter their name. That's easy. We'll give them the basic rules. And then in the game section, we'll actually create a while loop that will run through the logic of the game. And then they'll keep playing until either they win 3 times or the computer wins 3 times. Then at the end, it'll just tell them the result of the program or result of the series of games. All right, so let's go ahead and start fleshing out some of these variables. First, I'm going to import the random because I know we're going to need it. Now, we're not going to use it for a little while. I'm not going to actually build that until we get down into the loop, and I'll talk about why when I get there. But I am going to create it here just so I don't forget to do that. Let's create a list called options. And we'll say options equals rock, paper, and scissors. Okay, now notice that I'm typing them in lowercase. That's because we're going to check lowercase rock versus lowercase rock. So, and we're going to force whatever the user types to turn into a lowercase. And I'll show you how to do that when we get there. All right, let's create a variable for the computer's choice. Let's create a variable for the user's choice. And we're just going to put junk data in them for now. Let's say user wins. Create a variable for that. User hasn't won anything yet. We'll make that 0. And we'll say comp wins. We'll set that to 0 as well. And then the last variable we'll need is just a variable to hold their name. Now you might be wondering, Mr. Storm, why aren't you just doing it like we did before, where you create the variable, then put the stuff in there? I could do that. The problem is whenever we get into loops, we don't want, So there are two different ways to think about variables with loops. If we create a new variable inside of a loop, then every time that loop comes back around, it'll create a new version of that variable. This will be helpful with our random that we're going to use because it'll give us a random choice every time. Whereas if we create our variables up here and then use them in the loop, then these will stay the same, and we won't have to keep remaking variables over and over again, right? So this is why it's a good practice to put your variables up at the top of your program, at least the ones that you don't want to keep changing every time your game loops around. All right, in the intro section, we'll just do a very quick print statement. Welcome to rock, paper, scissors. Let's add some value to name. Say name equals input. Please enter your name. Print. You are playing against the computer. The first to, let's say, player to win, let's say 3 wins, claims the victory. And I'm going to put, oh, hello. I'm going to put an empty print just so that we have, or we can do something like this where we put like some tildes, across the screen to give us some separation, just to make it look fancy pants McGee, right? All right, so that's our intro. Pretty easy, nothing crazy, nothing we haven't ever done before. Now let's think about the loop that we want to use. Now, before I move on, right here, we're going to basically make it so that they play against the computer. You could turn this into a 2-player game where both people are playing the game. They'd have to share the same keyboard, and it'd be pretty easy to see what they've chosen, and you'd have to pick who goes first, right? So the first person would type something, and then it'd be really easy for the other person to see what they've typed. So the advantage would be on the second person. So plus, we already know how to make kind of a very basic AI by using randoms, so we might as well use that system here. Okay, so let's talk about the while loop that we're going to use to run this game. The logic is going to be while the user wins is less than 3 and the computer wins are less than 3. We want both of those to be less than 3 because if no one's reached the 3 wins, then the game is going to continue to play. So that statement's pretty easy to write. While user wins is less than 3 and comp wins is less than 3. Then we're going to do whatever it is we're going to do. So the first thing we want to do is we want to give our random a seed. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to start the random number generator, random seed. Oh, random seed. There we go. And then let's create a random number. I'm going to call this random number rnum for random number, and I'll say random dot randint, random integer. Now the range for this is going to be different from what it was last week when we did our number guessing game. With the number guessing game, we were going from 1 to 100. With this, we only want the random integer to either be 0, 1, or 2. So our bottom number is going to be 0, and our top number is going to be 2. So we're going to pick one of those 3 random possibilities. Now, if you have more, if your game is more complicated than mine, then you're going to have, 4 or 5 or whatever, right? For me, 0 is the lowest number, 2 is the highest number. So it's going to pick either 0, 1, or 2. Then to figure out what the computer chose for their rock, paper, or scissors, we can say comp equals options, which is the name of this list, options, and then inside the options chooser here, the index chooser, we can say rnum. Now let's just go ahead and test to see if that actually works. I'm going to print, let's print user on the screen. And let's see if that works. There may be an error. So, well, no, there's not. David? And nothing happened. Because, why did nothing happen? Interesting. It's probably because it's inside the while loop. Strange. Let me momentarily. This isn't really necessary, but I kind of want to make sure that this actually works before we move on. Okay. All right. So you're playing against a computer. First to 3 wins claims the victory. But it doesn't actually... Oh, because I'm printing user. Wow. Good mistake to make on the video, right? All right, so there we go. So rock, paper. So we can see that it's randomly choosing one of those. All right, let's go ahead and fix all this. Put that back inside the while loop, and we'll get rid of this print statement because we don't actually need it. What we do need right here is we need to give our user the ability to enter their choice. So now we have the computer's random choice. Now we need the user to enter their choice. So we'll say user equals input, make your choice. Now at this point, I wonder why it's not indenting automatically. Oh well. At this point, yeah, it's inside the while. Anyway, at this point, we have them typing something. Now, we can make whatever they type turn into all lowercase so that we can compare against the lowercase options up here. So all we have to do is say user.lower, which will turn whatever's stored in the user variable, it'll turn it into lowercase. So that little trick right there will help. All right, let's output what was chosen. So we'll say print, yep, and we'll make this a formatted print statement, and we'll say nope, name chose user, and the computer chose comp. So basically we can see each time what the computer chose and what we chose. All right, perfect. Now, wait, why did that? It's indenting so weirdly. All right, anyway, now we need to check to see if the user and the computer have chosen the same thing. So again, we can just use if. Wait, why is, oh, I see why. Because I didn't put in my final. There we go. All right. If user equals comp, then we just want to say, hey, this round's a draw. No one's going to get a win. No one's going to get this win in their column. It's just a draw. So print, this round is a draw. All right. Then we can do an elif. And this is where the main logic of the game comes in. This is going to get a bit complicated, so I'm going to use parentheses around these statements to make it easier for us to kind of do figure out the logic. Plus, I'm going to push this all the way over here so we have as much room as possible. So let's think about it like this. In this elif, I want to check to see if we've won the game. So there are 3 possible win states in your basic rock, paper, scissors game. One of the win states is if you choose paper, but the other person chooses rock, or in this case, the computer chooses rock, you've won. You will also win if you choose rock and the computer chooses scissors. You will also win if you choose scissors and the other person or the computer chooses paper. So those 3 conditions will make up all of our possible win states. Now we can put all of those conditions in this elif, basically saying this statement is going to check to see if any one of those conditions is true. So let's do the first one. If user equals paper and comp equals rock, then if that's the case, then we have won the game. But remember, there are two other possible conditions. So outside of the parentheses here, we can say or user equals rock and comp equals scissors. And finally, we can say or if user equals scissors. Oh, I forgot my quotes. Scissors and comp equals paper. Now notice that I got to the end of the line and it pushed me to the next line. That's fine. That's not going to mess with our code. It's still going to work perfectly fine. Okay, so if one of those is met, then that means we've won. So we'll say print, you won this round, and we'll give them a win in their user wins variable. So we'll say user wins equals user wins plus 1. Perfect. The next thing we want is an else. That else is going to catch basically if you lost, right? And I put the loss condition down here because the other possible thing that could happen is you ask them, hey, what is your choice? And they type something that's not even close to what we're looking for. Maybe they misspell rock or they put in dynamite, but that's not a thing. In those cases, they would lose the game, right? In order to win, you have to correctly type the word. So this is going to catch whether they legitimately lose because they chose something that, and then the computer chose the winning option, or they lost on a technicality because they typed something we weren't expecting. So anything else they type other than rock, paper, and scissors, and they win with those, it's going to get caught here. So we'll say print, you lost this round. And then we're going to give the win to the computer. Comp wins equals comp wins plus 1. All right, that's the logic. That's the entire logic of our game right there. Yeah, perfect. Now all we need to do is at the end of our game, we just need to basically tell them who won the entire match, and then give them, basically tell them who won. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to do a print statement here just to put some more tildes in there to separate it out, make it look a little nicer. We'll say if user wins equals 3, meaning the user was the one who got 3 wins. Then we'll say print, you defeated the computer. Else, meaning the other possible condition is that the computer got 3. Print, the computer won the match. That's it. That's the whole program. Let's play it a couple times to make sure it actually works. So I'll run. My name is David. You're playing against the computer. The first player to 3 wins claims the victory. Make your choice. I choose rock. David chose rock and the computer chose rock. This round is a draw. Make your choice. I will choose rock again. And he chose rock. Hold on. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. The computer chose rock 5 times in a row, then swapped to scissors. Okay. I mean, there's only 3 options, so things like that are bound to happen, right? I'm going to change mine up. Let's do scissors. It's a draw again. Let's try paper. All right, I won again. So one more win, and I have won this whole match. So let's go back to rock. No, it's a draw. Oh, I lost. Let's keep with rock, though. Hey, oh no, I lost again. All right, so I've defeated the computer because I chose rock, computer chose scissors. So we know that I can actually win 3 times against the computer. It keeps track. It breaks out of the loop whenever I've won. And so that part works. Let's try to lose. And I'm going to lose by typing gibberish. And gibberish, computer won the match, right? So yeah, everything works exactly the way we expect. There are no errors here. It all works perfectly fine. This here in the middle can get a bit hinky, especially this big, long elif that we're doing right here. But as long as you understand the logic, it should work out pretty fine, pretty well. Yeah, I mean, mine is very, very basic. I have very basic just text here. You can add as much to this as you want. So please experiment, play around with it, have fun with it. When you're done, please don't forget to turn it in. This is your final project for the term. So this is also your final programming project in this class. If you want to do more programming, you want to learn another language, or you want to do something a little bit more advanced, you have computer programming classes that are available to you. Plus, we have some game development classes. So look forward to those. All right, cool. This has been fun. Thanks for paying attention, and I'll see you next time.